You ever love someone so much you'd do anything to protect them from pain, even if it meant swallowing your own? Yeah, that was me. My name's Alex, and for almost 2 years, my wife Rachel and I had been trying. You know, the kind of trying that turns into schedules, apps, ovulation tests, and that silent pressure in the room after every negative result. Every month, like clockwork, we'd sit on the edge of the tub, holding each other. She'd cry, just a little, just enough to break me. "Maybe it's just not meant to be," she whispered once with tears in her eyes. "Maybe it's fate saying we're not ready." And I'd hug her tighter, nodding like a coward, because deep down, the doubt was already eating me alive. Was it me? Was something wrong with me? I never said it out loud, not once. But after our 8th failed month, I booked a private appointment at a fertility clinic without telling her. I didn't want her to feel guilty. I didn't want her to feel responsible. I wanted to know the truth quietly so I could fix it, or at least understand it. The doctor was polite. Too polite, which you know is always a bad sign. "Mr. Hammond, I'm afraid I have to be direct. You have a rare congenital condition, a zoospermia. In layman's terms, there's 0 sperm count. Not low, none." I blinked at him. "Okay," I said, like an idiot. "So, what can we do? IVF? Hormones?" He sighed. "I'm sorry, but no. In your case, there's no treatment. You've been sterile since birth." I left that clinic like a ghost, drove around the block 4 times before I could pull into my driveway. And when I walked in, there was Rachel, sitting cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through baby names on her iPad. "Hey, babe," she said cheerfully, "you still like the name Elliot? I know it was on our old list." I just nodded. I didn't say a word, because how the hell do you tell your wife that you've been firing blanks your whole life? I went upstairs, locked the bathroom door, and stared at myself in the mirror for what felt like hours. A part of me died that night, but I didn't know that the worst was still to come. I kept my secret, or maybe it kept me. I told myself I just needed time. Time to process. Time to figure out how to tell Rachel. How to look her in the eye and say, "It's not you, it's me." Literally. But the longer I waited, the more something felt off. It started with little things. Her moods were lighter. Her stress seemed to vanish overnight. The same woman who used to cry silently after each negative test was now smiling when her period was late. And then there was the phone notification. We were watching some rerun on Netflix. Her phone buzzed. She was in the kitchen getting tea, so it lit up right in front of me on the coffee table. 12:30, Dr. Miller, ultrasound. My heart stopped. I didn't even touch the phone, just stared at that line of text like it was a punch to the chest. When she came back in, I tried to sound casual. "Hey babe, who's Dr. Miller?" "Oh," she said too quickly, "it's just a routine thing. I've had some cramps, thought I'd get checked. Nothing serious." She didn't blink, didn't stutter, a perfect lie, delivered with a smile and a sip of chamomile tea. I wanted to scream, "You're getting an ultrasound and didn't tell me?" But I didn't. I just nodded. And then she doubled down. That night she came to bed humming, wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "You know, I've been thinking, maybe we should start looking at baby cribs again." I froze. "Cribs?" I asked, my throat dry. "Yeah." She kissed my shoulder. "I don't want to give up. I think this time it's gonna work." I couldn't breathe, because I already knew it couldn't. Not with me. And yet there she was, acting like everything was fine. Like miracles happened all the time. Like I didn't just get a medical death sentence for my entire paternal future. I barely slept that night, or the next. I started noticing patterns. Her phone suddenly had a password. She'd take calls in the hallway. There were charges on our joint card from a clinic that wasn't the one I went to. And one morning, just as I was leaving for work, she stood by the door, grinning like she'd won the lottery. "Hey," she said, almost shy. "I've got a surprise for you later tonight." I raised an eyebrow. What kind of surprise? The best kind. She touched her stomach. We're pregnant. My ears rang. She said the words with such joy, such certainty. And I stood there, staring at her, knowing for a fact, that child couldn't possibly be mine. I smiled. I don't know how. I don't even remember deciding to. But somehow, my face stretched into a mask that said, I'm happy for us, while my insides twisted into a noose. That's amazing, I said, voice trembling just enough to pass as emotion instead of horror. She threw her arms around me. I knew it. I felt it. This is finally happening for us, Alex. I nodded, then excused myself to the bathroom, then threw up everything I'd eaten for the past week. She knocked softly on the door. You okay, babe? Yeah, just overwhelmed, I croaked. Happy tears, you know. She laughed and walked away, humming some lullaby. I sat on the cold tile floor, staring at the toilet, and made a silent promise to myself. You will not scream. You will not break things. You will find the truth. And then, you will end this. That night, when she fell asleep next to me, peacefully, like a woman with no secrets, I reached for the tablet on her nightstand. She'd recently synced it with her phone, some cloud backup setting she didn't really understand, but I understood it just fine. It took me 2 minutes to find the app, another 30 seconds to figure out her password, our wedding date. Cute. And then, I saw it, a message thread with someone saved under the name A. But the contact photo wasn't some generic gray circle. It was a man, mid-30s, tan, sunglasses, cocky smile. I didn't know him, but I knew what he was. And the messages? They weren't subtle. Rachel, he doesn't suspect a thing. He actually looked relieved when I told him, like this was some miracle. A, I told you it would work. He's probably just grateful he's not the problem. Rachel, I did this for us. I had to. He'll never find out. A, you're amazing. This kid's going to have everything, especially you. The next message was a picture. Her, in a silk robe I bought, holding a positive pregnancy test, smiling. The caption? Our future. My fingers shook. I took screenshots of everything, every line, every timestamp, every little heart emoji she left after the phrase, he thinks it's his. I backed everything up to a USB, labeled it with one word, truth. Then I stared at the ceiling in the dark, while my wife, the woman who chose to carry another man's child and feed me fairy tales, slept inches away from me. There's a strange kind of power in silence. When you know the truth, and they don't know you know it, you suddenly hold all the cards. Every smile becomes a mask. Every I love you becomes a test. Every second, a trap you're building. Slowly. I stopped asking questions, stopped pushing, stopped reacting. Instead, I started watching and collecting. First, the digital trail. I exported every message from the tablet, created backup copies on 2 flash drives and a private cloud folder, labeled the main folder, Insurance. Felt fitting. Then, the financials. I checked our joint statements. She'd paid $600 to a private clinic 2 towns over, not the one where we'd been trying together. Another $200 at a baby boutique, and 2 Uber rides, one to a hotel, one from a hotel. Same night, 11:43 p.m. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. I reached out to a friend of a friend, a guy who used to work in private investigation, asked him if it was possible to get a non-invasive prenatal paternity test done discreetly. He smirked over the phone. Cheating wives and secret kids, that's 60% of my business. He told me exactly what to do. That weekend I offered to take Rachel out for a celebration dinner. Told her I wanted to support her more, be there for everything. She beamed. Finally. That's all I ever wanted, babe. On the way home, I suggested we swing by a clinic for a couple's wellness panel. Told her my job offered insurance discounts for doing it together. She shrugged. Sure, as long as it doesn't hurt the baby. She gave blood. I gave blood. She kissed me in the parking lot and said, "This is going to be the start of something beautiful." Oh, it was. 2 weeks later, the results arrived in a sealed envelope addressed to the alias I'd given the lab. I sat at my desk at work, closed the office door, and opened it. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. No room for doubt, no margin of error, no miracle conception, just science. Cold, unforgiving, final. I hired a lawyer the next day, a shark, the kind who smells blood before it hits the water. We made a plan. Divorce papers, prepared. Paternity fraud suit, in motion. Custody and asset division, outlined. Statement for her parents, drafted. Copies of all files and evidence, printed, bound, and placed into a thick red envelope with one word written on it in bold Sharpie, truth. I locked it in my desk at work, added a sticky note, open if she tries to flip the script. And then, I waited for the right moment, waited for the performance of a lifetime. I picked the setting with care. I wanted an audience. I wanted witnesses. So I waited for Sunday dinner, the tradition Rachel adored. Every other week, we hosted her parents, her sister, sometimes even her old college friend who still acted like she ran the place. Rachel was glowing that day. Pregnancy glow, they call it. But to me, it looked like arrogance. She wore that flowing pale pink dress she knew I loved. Her hair curled at the ends. She laughed a lot, touched her belly like she was performing for the cameras. "I can already feel little kicks," she said, smiling at her mom. "He's going to be a soccer star or maybe a dancer. Who knows?" Her father chuckled. "As long as he's got Alex's brains, we're in good shape." Oh, sir, if only you knew. We ate lamb roast, mashed potatoes, Rachel's lemon tart, everything perfect, fake perfect. I waited until dessert plates were nearly empty, wine glasses half full, laughter dying down. Then I stood, held my glass, tapped it with my fork. If I could have everyone's attention for just a minute. Rachel looked up, smiling. Her mom paused mid-sip. Her dad leaned back, expectant. "I wanted to make a toast," I said, voice steady, calm, calculated. "To miracles, to family, to truth." Rachel tilted her head, a flicker of confusion. "You know," I continued, raising my glass, "when Rachel told me we were expecting, I was speechless. I thought it was fate, a blessing, even though I knew, medically, I could never be a father." Silence, a shift in the room. Rachel's smile faltered. "But love makes you believe in impossible things, right? Like immaculate conception." Her mother blinked. "Alex, what are you—" No, I said, holding up a hand, still smiling. "Let me finish. Because this story, it gets better." I reached under the table, pulled out the thick envelope. Rachel's eyes locked on it. I watched her shoulders tense. "This," I said, placing it in the center of the table, "contains lab results, financial records, and personal messages, screenshots, receipts, all of it." Her father furrowed his brow. "What the hell is going on?" Rachel's voice cracked. "Alex, this isn't—" "It's not mine, Rachel," I said calmly. "The baby. He's not mine. You knew that. You planned it. You lied about every single part of this journey. While I cried in silence thinking I failed you, you were out playing house with someone else." Her mother gasped. Her sister dropped her fork. "No, that's not—" Rachel reached for the envelope, but I slid it out of her reach. "This stays with me," I said coldly. "But I wanted you to see it. To know what comes next isn't impulsive. It's deliberate, just like your affair." "Who is he?" her father demanded. "Rachel, is this true?" She broke, started sobbing, hands to her face. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just— we were trying so long. I didn't know how to tell you." "You didn't tell me," I said, standing tall. "You used me. You let me name a child that wasn't mine. You let me hope, and that's unforgivable." No one spoke. Even the walls felt ashamed. I looked around the room, at these people who once called me the perfect husband, and delivered my final line. This dinner was lovely. It'll make a great memory, our last one together. And then I walked out, didn't even close the door behind me. The night I walked out, I didn't go home. Not really. I went to the guest room of my friend Matt's place. He didn't ask questions, just opened the door, handed me a beer, and turned on the game. That's how guys like us say, "I'm here if you need to talk." I didn't say much that first night. Didn't need to. I had already said everything. Rachel tried calling, then texting, then voicemail. "Please, Alex, I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared. I never stopped loving you. I just wanted a child so badly. We can fix this. I'll do anything." I didn't respond. Not once. My lawyer did the talking now. The divorce was fast. Surgical. Turns out when you present a full binder of infidelity, financial fraud, and paternity deception to a judge, they don't waste time. Rachel didn't contest it. Couldn't. Especially after my attorney served notice to her boyfriend, Andrew. Yeah, mister. He'll never find out? He found out he was being sued for paternity and child support? His response? He ghosted, deleted his socials, changed his number. Poof. Magic trick. Rachel tried to track him down, even messaged me to see if I'd seen him. I just want him to be in the baby's life. I didn't reply, but I laughed. Laughed like I hadn't in months. Her parents, done with her. Her dad, old school to the bone, called me 2 weeks after the confrontation, invited me to lunch, alone. We sat at a cheap diner. He didn't touch his food. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "We raised her better than that, or at least we thought we did." I didn't gloat, I didn't smirk, just nodded. That was enough. Her mom sent a card after the hearing. "You deserved better. We're ashamed of what she did. Wishing you peace." I put it in a drawer and never looked at it again. As for me, I started therapy. Every Tuesday at 5:00 p.m. Turns out, betrayal hits different when it's not just about cheating, but about manufacturing a life you were never part of. My therapist, Nancy 60s, brutal honesty and soft eyes, told me something I'll never forget. "Alex, you may never be a biological father, but you just proved you know how to protect, how to stand up, and how to let go. That's a different kind of strength. A rarer kind." I cried that day, and for once, it wasn't from shame. I got a new job, moved to a new apartment, started hiking again, joined a weekend book club, made small, real steps back to me. The version of Alex that didn't live in denial, that didn't hold on to someone who never truly held him back. Sometimes people ask me if I'd ever want kids, still, and I tell them the truth. I can't be a father, but I can be a man who won't let himself be destroyed, trying to be one for someone who never deserved it. So thank you, Rachel, not for the lies, not for the betrayal, but for the lesson. You showed me exactly who I don't want to be. And that's a gift I'll carry for the rest of my life. A few months after the dust had settled, after the court dates, after the final signature on the divorce papers, after I finally stopped checking the mirror wondering if I somehow deserved what happened, I found myself writing a letter. I never planned to send it, still haven't, but I wrote it anyway. "Rachel, by now, the silence between us is loud enough to fill an entire house. And I think we both know that's how it should stay, but there are things I never got to say. Not because I was afraid, not because I didn't have the chance, but because I chose not to. Until now. You broke me, not just as a husband but as a man. You took the most vulnerable part of me, the one that wondered if I was enough, if I was whole, and you wrapped it in lies, dressed it up in hope, and then set it on fire. And I still would have forgiven you. I would have tried if you had told me the truth. Because love, real love, survives hardship. It survives diagnosis, even infertility. But it does not survive betrayal. It doesn't survive manipulation, or watching you plan your future with another man while still wearing my ring. You didn't just lie, you performed, and I applauded like a fool. But here's the thing, I'm not bitter anymore. I'm better, Stronger, lighter, quieter in the head, louder in the soul. You made me believe I had no value because I couldn't give you a child. But now I see the truth. You were never looking for a father. You were looking for someone easy to fool, and that's not who I am anymore. So no, I don't wish you well, but I also don't wish you harm. I wish you awareness. I hope one day, when the noise of your own justifications dies down, you hear what you did. And maybe you finally understand what you lost. Alex. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer. No envelope, no stamp, just closure. Sometimes we don't get revenge, we get clarity. And that's enough. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to the channel. I wish you a great mood and good luck.